Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being with us this evening. My name is Mally Rosado, and I am the Council President for the Court of Common Council for the City of Hartford. I am calling to order this regularly scheduled public comment meeting of Monday, March 14th to order. And with me this evening, and I'm going to say their names as I see them on the screen, are Councilman Nick LeBron, Councilwoman Marilyn Rossetti, Councilwoman Shirley Surgeon, Councilman James Sanchez, our Majority Leader, Councilman TJ Clark, Councilwoman Tiana Hercules. Also with us this evening is our Town Clerk, Mr. Noel McGregor, our Corporation Counsel, Mr. Howard Rifkin, members of the Hartford Public Access team, David Grant from the Office of the Council President, and members of the public who are going to speak this evening in the public comment section. I'm going to read a little bit of housekeeping. Public comment shall be conducted in accordance with the following procedures. Each person wishing to address the council therefore shall, upon recognition by the presiding officer, give his or her name, address, and if he or she represents a group, shall in addition state for the record the name and address of said group or organizations, and shall limit his or her remarks to 3 minutes. We want to be mindful of everyone's time. Therefore, public comment is 3 minutes. All remarks shall be addressed to the council body and not to any individual council member. Any persons making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks or who becomes boisterous while addressing the council shall be forthwith barred by the presiding officer from further audience at said meeting, unless permission to remain is granted by 2/3 votes of council members present and voting. During public comment, there shall be no debate by council, although questions may be asked by council or persons making such presentations or remarks. For members of the community, please be advised that this meeting is being broadcasted and recorded by the Hartford Public Access Television and can be viewed via HPA-TV Facebook page, Comcast Xfinity Channel 96, HartfordPublicAccessTV.org, or Channel 6032 for Frontier customers. Spanish interpretation is provided through a partnership with the City of Hartford and the Hartford Public Library. Additional accommodations can be made available with enough notice to the Office of the Council President. Thank you. And I just want to make sure that I have covered all of our council members, and I have. And with that said, the first person on our list this evening addressing this council body is Yvette Howard. Yvette Howard. Okay, we will come back to Yvette Howard. Bridget Prince.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Council. I appreciate the opportunity to speak before you. My name is Bridget Prince. I'm a Hartford native. Now I don't have a specific Hartford address, but I'm representing Veterans for Black Lives Matter. And I am calling, making a public comment on behalf of veterans housing, or the lack thereof. I've submitted proposals and had, the group actually, which included developer and originally NERA was involved in it, Veterans for Black Lives Matter. We had attorney Cynthia Jennings, who was also here to speak, but we all made a presentation, Solidarity and some other groups regarding veterans housing, specifically located at 2 Holcomb Street. That was a couple months ago, back in December. And since then, I've kind of been plugging along, really to get not just the council, but the public to be aware of how crucial veteran housing is in the state of Connecticut and in the United States. Any given night, there's 40,000 veterans sleeping on the street. And with everything that's happening right now, through COVID, and with all the funds that are coming through the state and the city to address affordable housing, there is really no reason why veterans are the last people on the list to be considered for housing, for a grant, for loans, for anything. So I'm gonna be brief because my throat is sore, but I really wanted to, put it out there and say there is a specific need for veterans housing and a veterans community, just like there's a need for an elderly community. Right now, everybody in the world is watching how troops are being sent over to the other side of the world to possibly engage in World War III. There are troops from Connecticut who are now there in Poland. So when they come back, are we going to see them standing on the street holding a sign that says, "I'm a homeless veteran, please feed me"? Because that is what we see. Every single day you go out and you see a veteran there. However, what we also see is apartments coming up everywhere else for everyone else, but for the veteran people who have never walked a day in a pair of combat boots have no problem with signing their name on a dotted line and sending us over to a foreign land to fight in wars that we have nothing to do with and know nothing about. So when we come back to Hartford, Connecticut, my native land where I was born, the one thing that we should never have to experience is somebody say, "Oh, no, sorry, we don't think there's a need for veteran housing, but we're going to take care of everybody else." So I'm hoping that somebody have a conscience and say, we really need to start taking care of the veterans who take care of us. Because everybody that's here right now enjoying these benefits, you are here no matter what your ethnicity is, no matter what your background is, no matter what country or culture you came from, you are here off of our back. You are here because of the miles we trekked in our combat boots. And for a veteran to be the last one on the list, for the city of Hartford and anybody else to say, "Oh, no, sorry, we're not gonna approve that," but you're approving everything else. That's an issue. So I thank you for letting me comment. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Bridget, for your comments.
Thank you very much.
And for the record, my office has this evening sent you an email requesting meeting times with you, okay? So
I appreciate that very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I was just informed, actually, let me note for the record that Councilman John Gale and Councilman Josh Mishtam are here with us this evening. And I was just informed that Yvette Howard is here with us. So Yvette Howard, you have the floor.
Hi, good evening, everyone. First, I would like to thank the council members for allowing me to join in on the meeting. Again, I would like to express how disappointed I am as a Hartford resident that our community service workers would make decisions that put people in danger. I am here to elaborate more on the situation that took place on July 31st on Blue Hills Avenue, 2016 in Hartford. This incident left my family and I severely injured with lifelong injuries caused by a police chase that I feel should not have taken place on one of the busiest streets in our city. I feel that such a tragic accident that caused one death and my family and I almost killed should not have been ignored like it was, and the officers involved were able to walk away and be granted full immunity. I'm deeply saddened and affected by the way our elected community service workers and our judicial systems allow chases to take place when in the end they get to walk away with little to no consequences when they are chasing and often causing the accidents. Because of this fact, I am totally disabled, not able to be an active citizen, a productive mom, a wife, a grandmother, or to enjoy the full quality of life as I have done in the past. Because of this, now my 12-year-old granddaughter that was 6 years old at the time will probably never be able to do all the things that she had dreamed of doing as she grew in life. And this is all caused through that police chase. We were never allowed to go to court and fight for what was right and for what we deserve to compensate for our pain and suffering mentally and physically to this day. And I am deeply saddened again. I am again asking the city of Hartford, the Court of Common Council, to look into this and to reopen the case so that justice can be served to those who took part in causing me to now become a disabled citizen. I feel that this could possibly be another act of Black lives don't matter. I'm deeply, deeply affected by what happened to me and my family, and I'm not going to stop until justice is served. This situation still surfaced after we fought many, many years to stop this from happening to us as a people. I'm asking the city of Hartford to please investigate this and please reach out to me and my family because we were deeply, deeply affected by what happened to us in 2016. Again, thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Miss Yvette Howard. And I've instructed my office to reach out to you, okay? We do have your email, so we will be reaching out to you.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
You too. Next to speak is Annette Gaynor. Annette?
Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you and we can hear you.
Great. Good evening, everyone. Council members, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Annette Gaynor. I am a resident, a business owner, and I love the city of Hartford. I'm here speaking on behalf of the Land Bank, the Housing Planning Committee development for the disposing of some properties to the Land Bank. I'm in support of it because I am one speaking as a developer cohort. I participated in the development program. I'm now a developer. I love the city of Hartford enough that I wanted to thrust myself into how do I help to make the city a little better. And we've had tons of blighted properties. As you can see, the city has them, and we're asking and hoping that they supportively give those to the land bank so that developers like myself who are residents of the city of Hartford can have an opportunity to be able to be a part of the redevelopment of the beautiful landscape we call the city of Hartford. The city of Hartford is a gorgeous city. It has great buildings. You know, unfortunately, over the years, we've allowed too many, I'm going to say for me personally, too many outside developers to come in and develop a city, walk away from it. It's not given to residents that are homeowners. And that's what we look for. We need more home ownership within the city of Hartford. If we're going to build generational wealth, it does start with home ownership. And it does start from people that are passionate about where they live and how they live. So you're going to take better care of the area that you live in and be a part of, again, this beautiful landscape. So I'm in support of the city of Hartford disposing properties, the blighted properties, to the land bank so that Black and brown developers have an opportunity and also with the financial backing to be able to continue to develop within the city of Hartford equally and not allow for external developers from other states, other areas to come in and develop our city. We can do it. We have the ability to do it. We just need the support. And this starts as support by giving those properties to the land bank. Thank you. And I hope that I garnered the support for the disposal of the properties to land bank.
Thank you for your comments. Next to speak is Rachel Caprillion. I hope I said that right.
Yes, very good. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. With me is also on Zoom is Anika Young, who is an owner-operator of McDonald's Hartford. And before you tonight, members of the council, I'd like to thank you all for indulging, and specifically Majority Leader Clark, for having this agenda item on your agenda today that is hopefully asking your adoption and support of a resolution that is commemorating 50 years of the McDonald's National Black McDonald's Owners Association. It is one of the oldest and most robust organizations of established African-American entrepreneurs in the world. And we are very proud in Connecticut to have many of the NBMOA membership, and Anika Young, who is here tonight with me to discuss a little bit about Hartford. In Hartford, we have 6 McDonald's throughout the city, and all of those McDonald's are owned by members of the NMBOA and African American owners, including 2 women. 2 out of the 3 owners are also women owner operators, and that includes Anika Young and Judy Young, who was the original Young to own restaurants. And they are entrepreneurs, and they are serving Hartford each and every day. And the reason this is on your agenda is because it is an extraordinary moment in the history of McDonald's and with this association. And every year, the organization and McDonald's, proper, the bigger organization, continues to ensure its commitment to diversity in the system. We have a new measure that has just been rolled out called franchise diversity, which is enabling people, diverse populations, to be able to buy into McDonald's because often, the price point is very, very high, and it is a higher bar for a lot of people who are in some of our minority populations. So we want to be a diverse organization serving diverse customers and making Hartford a better served city. We started with Herman Petty, who was our first McDonald's owner operator back in 1968. And with that partnership, it opened the doors to not just generations of some of the same families, but to people who were new Americans, people who, had been part of the McDonald's system in other ways and are now serving the system as owner operators. So I wanted to also introduce Anika Young, who was the next person signed up on the list, because she is the one doing the job. I mean, I work for McDonald's. I work to support her and others in Connecticut and Hartford, but she's there each and every day, hiring local Hartford residents, being a part of the community, being a part of the Ronald McDonald House Connecticut chapter, and she just wants to, say hello. And thank you for considering this resolution, and we do hope that you pass it. So Anika, I don't see you on my screen, but
she is here.
Okay.
Anika Young,
Hello.
you have the floor. Hi.
How are you? Thank you, Rachel. Greetings to the council. We're exactly 2 years into this pandemic and still going strong. So it's good to see everyone safe and still healthy. I believe small businesses are the cornerstone of vibrant communities, along with how they embrace diversity. I would like to thank the council for its commitment to small business in this great city of Hartford. And contrary to popular belief, McDonald's restaurants are indeed small businesses, as McDonald's Hartford locations, as Rachel said, are all owned and operated by independent franchisees. Small business success is vital to the economic health of the community in which it serves, and we proudly employ numerous Hartford residents, which simultaneously creates tax dollars that stay within the community. I'm proud to be a McDonald's operator, and I'm equally as proud to be a contributor to the great city of Hartford. So thank you again for your attention this evening.
Thank you, Anika, and congratulations again. And Councilman Gale has a question for you. Councilman Gale?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Anika, switching gears, what hasn't been told is that you're also the owner-operator of 50 Elm. And so
That's
my
correct.
question is, are you coming back?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Excellent.
So we have employees, just waiting, employees that were with us previously waiting for us to reopen. But because it's a small place, we wanted to make sure that we could follow all of the safety procedures as well as maintain independently from an economic standpoint. But yes, we are. And thank you for asking.
Are there any other questions from my council colleagues? Thank you. Next to speak is Maxine Robinson Lee.
Good evening, members of the City Council. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Maxine Robinson Lewin, President of the Greater Hartford NAACP. On November 8th, the Greater Hartford branch of the NAACP submitted written testimony in opposition of Resolution 7.1 red light cameras. On November the 22nd, the council introduced a resolution to create a red light camera task force to include representation from the NAACP and or ACLU. As president of the Greater Hartford NAACP, I am the chief spokesperson and only individual that is able to make appointments of representatives on behalf of the association. Today, I have neither been asked nor have I appointed a representative to sit on the red light camera task force. In question, how does a representative get identified to represent the NAACP on this task force without contacting or consulting the association? So I respectfully demand that the matter of appointments regarding the red light camera task force resolution be tabled until the appropriate contact has been made, affording us the opportunity to make an official appointment of a representative of the Greater Hartford NAACP. I look forward to hearing from the City Council, and thank you for your time and attention to this matter.
Thank you. Next to speak is Janice Fleming. Janice? Okay, we might come back to Janice Fleming. Next on the line is Charles Teal. If you could unmute yourself, Chief Teal. David, could you assist Chief Teal in unmuting himself?
I can't unmute someone else. It's Zoom changed their.
Oh, here we go. Now, Chief Teal, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. My
Okay.
apologies.
We can hear you.
Yeah, my experience with Zoom is very limited. The only time I use it is with my students that I have. I have adult education students. My name is Charles Teal. I'm the retired chief of the Hartford Fire Department. I reside at 145 Terry Road here in Hartford, and I'm actually representing a couple of organizations, I would say, pardon me. Initially, I became involved in the matter that I'd like to discuss very briefly through the Tuscan Brotherhood Homes. I'm a member of Tuscan Lodge number 17 on Montville Street. I am a Mason, but as a member of that Masonic Lodge, I have been appointed to serve as a representative on the Northeast NRZ committee. And while serving in that capacity, I have recently been asked to serve as the chair of the Economic Development Committee. What I really want to discuss or present more so than anything else is our feelings with regards to the cameras and red lights or traffic lights. And we are indeed in favor of this. And I think the best, I can think of many experiences throughout my career in the fire service, 28 years, that I can call on. But I think the best example I can think of actually comes from a very young person I had the chance of interacting with while serving as a teacher at the Caribbean Resource Center, teaching foundational reading and math. Leaving the school, I ran into the son of one of my grandsons of one of my students. And I just struck up a conversation with him. I said, "Hey man, how's school?" And he said, "Great." And I said, "Well, that's quite an answer. What school do you go to?" He says, "Jamoke Academy." I said, "And why do you like school?" And he raised his hand like this and he said, "Safe." And I bring that to your attention simply to say this. One thing I learned throughout my career, and I couldn't have said it any better with 28 years of training, education experience, is that you can't conduct a classroom, you can't live in an area, you can't do business in an area unless it is safe. And it is for that reason that I and the people I represent agree that it is the wise course of action to put cameras in red lights for the interest of safety and for the interest, eventually, of economic development. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next to speak is Janice Fleming. Janice, you have the floor.
Good evening, Council President and other council members. I come to you to speak in favor of the land bank, transfer of city properties to the land bank I've been following the work work closely of the land bank and seeing how many people were interested in becoming local developers. And I see that as a vehicle along with other members in the community, a vehicle as getting folks more interested locally in development, to starting to address blight in the city of Hartford, most vulnerable communities, by getting those properties from the city to the land bank so they can be redeveloped and begin to address quality of life issues and put in homes that are back on the market for families to enjoy the city of Hartford. So I thank the council and other members who are supporting this as well. And I hope that the city of Hartford can continue to support the efforts of the land bank. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you for your comments. Next to speak is our Bishop Dexter Burke. Okay, I don't see him on the screen. We can come back to him. Cynthia Jennings.
Thank you, Madam President. Okay, first of all, I have two issues that I want to speak on, so I'm going to be brief on both of them. But I wanted to say that I 100% support veterans housing. We have 40,000 veterans sleeping on the streets every night. That is unconscionable when these are the people who protect and defend our rights in this country. The other thing I wanted to say is that veterans housing is critical. The veterans, and we're looking to develop 2 Holcomb Street into veterans housing. We have a minority developer that has come up with the plans. We have minority contractors who should be 100% on this project, as well as many other projects throughout the city of Hartford, because these are the contractors and the developers that build our wealth and build our economic engines. I think it's critical that there be a veterans community, because veterans should have a place just like elderly people, where they are around people that they support, where they run their own community, and where they are allowed to provide support for each other. This veterans housing has to have wraparound services for veterans that have been traumatized by war or traumatized in the military if they're female, by sexual harassment and many other things that people are facing, as well as racial discrimination. So I think that it's critical that we support this veteran housing, that the city of Hartford provide the developer with site control so that they can move forward and get the funding that they need. That was the first thing. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about was the airport. I worked for years to save that airport, Brainerd Airport. And part of the issues that we're faced with the airport is that we need to use it as an economic development tool, and we can and an economic engine. We had 3 flight schools, and we have an international pilots shortage. So because of the pilot shortage, I worked with Barry Alexander, who was also one of the, he was a pilot for a major commercial airline. And he came in with the National Black Pilots Association and made a presentation to the mayor many years ago about providing a free a free boot camp for the summer for our young people, so that they can get their pilot's license as early as 17 years old. That's their FAA pilot's license at 17. They can start training at 14. So we also need to take a look at that. We also need to look at what we're losing when we close down that airport to build housing. Why? We have jet engine mechanics that are being trained by the technical school that's currently on that airport. We have pilot schools, 3 schools that are willing and ready and able to work with our Board of Education and train pilots. And we have we have talked to many young people and provided them with support in getting through up to and through college now. Some of them are in college. The ones that in 5th grade wanted to actually. I'll be wrapping up. These young people from 5th grade wanted to be involved in becoming pilots, males and females. We as elected officials and and people within our community have a responsibility to provide our young people with jobs that pay $200,000 a year and more. So that's all I'm saying on that. But I would really like to have this issue looked into as an economic development tool. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next to speak is Leslie Hammond.
Hi, this is Leslie Hammond in Linden Place in Hartford. You can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So everything Cynthia just said, thank you, Cynthia. I totally agree with all of it, all the details about the airport. I don't even know if the council members have any idea what's going on at the airport. It would be great if you took a tour rather than having a task force. And also about veterans housing, it's obviously very needed. I wanted to talk about a few things. I really want us to get back to hybrid meetings for the public. I think it is great that we have call-ins. So a lot of us like to come and be there in public too. And if HPA-TV cannot handle it because of funding or technology, then you all have a responsibility to find somebody that can. This is the capital city, and we really have to be a lot more professional than we've been with some of our technology with public access. I'm totally in favor of transferring the property to the land bank. I've been very impressed. I've watched it closely. I'm very impressed with what the land bank's doing with the local contractors. It's something that the city should have done years ago. Evelyn Richardson and I talked about it all the time. And I really want to urge the city and development services to stop being a gatekeeper on all the other property that the city owns. I think we have about 200 parcels. And I'm figuring at $4,000 taxes, that's a lot of money that's just sitting there empty because of their power and control. And that includes 2 Holcomb and all the properties up in the north end. I don't understand why the city isn't working with local groups to see what they want for those properties in the north end. And they've just been sitting there empty for years. And rather than focusing on the pie of the sky idea of closing the airport, as Cynthia said, that has so much benefit, I'd really like to hear what you're going to do to get the mill rate down and focus on our youth and the needs of our youth with park and rec education, and mental health resources. We have the budget coming up, and I really want us to hear a lot about that versus some of these other pie in the sky ideas about closing airports that would cost us millions to do. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Next to speak is Dr. Larry Deutsch.
Good evening. Can I be heard?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Thank you, Council President. It's good to join everyone again. I'm a former city councilman, but very interested in the remarks just made by Cynthia Jennings and Leslie Hammond about the airport, because some may see it as an asset that the city of Hartford has, but not it not having been adequately used with a vision of the future. That is that with modern technology, smaller airplanes, less polluting planes, and the advent of drones, Hartford could serve as a resource through Brainerd Field, or maybe renamed People's Field or Hartford Municipal Field, to have this as a benefit for education and the population in general. The first thing I would ask, though, is whether any of us would recommend to a friend or family member buying or building a house in that area, knowing that indeed it has a history of toxic waste going back many years when it was a swamp. There's human waste, chemical waste, and so on down in the soil. And if we thought that the donor was a problem with contamination, they should really know what went on in those fields, which now are solely the airport and don't have that exposed to human beings living up above it. Things like the old Love Canal and the issues that Erin Brockovich raised in a famous film about toxic soil. So, having said that, whether it's desirable to have residents live in that area or retail stores. So I hope everyone goes, we all go into the negative aspects, the risk to health by living in that area. They can be alleviated, of course, for millions of dollars if you cart away all that soil and not just the top couple feet, because it goes way down. You can ask anyone who's been around for years. On the very positive side, Cynthia and Leslie mentioned that the field can be used for aviation education, especially with a group of young women who may be interested in learning and how to function with drones. It can serve as also as a receiving point for disasters in the Caribbean, where planes can be small enough to do medical evacuation, whether it be from Jamaica, Puerto Rico, Barbados, Haiti, and so on. And it happens we have Hartford Hospital in St. Francis close by to aid people from distant calamities, which will be more frequent also when climate change is worse. Finally, and I mean finally, there's the question of maintaining the levees, and that nobody would buy or think of living in that area if the levees are not assuredly safe, so that they're not flooded out like the people in New Orleans. This is just one of another questions, so that I tend to agree a careful examination, and we should support those who want to do positive things with that airport and not just eliminate it and try to be like Baltimore, which we just can't be in the same strength that certain examples by a river have. And the river may flood in addition. So this is what I think their comments.
Dr. Larry Deutsch.
Consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Deutsch. Next to speak is Ricky Martinez. You have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Council, for allowing me to speak on the matter that I'm going to speak today. Today, I come to you to speak about the traffic light, red light pilot program. Obviously, I am the last one, so I've sat here and listened to everything that everyone said. A lot of great topics. This is awesome. It's amazing that people are allowed to speak and their voice be heard via Zoom. Like I said, hot topic, the whole the red traffic light program. But I must say, in my opinion, I think it's something that's necessary. I got to commend the police department in the efforts that they have taken to quell this this problem that I in my opinion plagues us. There are a lot of violations that unfortunately go unnoticed, and I think there is no oversight in that. Again, summer's coming. We know that has been a problem. Kids on the bikes, the motorcycle, the quads, and so on and so forth, going through these lights or whatever. And unfortunately, I believe the police department feels like their hands are tied and there's no ability to quell that issue. And it is an issue. It's caused accidents, potentially some serious accidents. There was a lady earlier that was speaking on that, on the incident that she had, and unfortunately it was unfavorable for her. But I believe that if we were to implement a pilot program with these cameras, that it could somewhat quell the violations. And the police department can't be everywhere at all times, but at least with these lights, it would hold people accountable. And if not that, at least they know that other than the police department and of course the citizens who are willing to come up and say something, there is something else that's watching that potentially can hold you accountable, or at least allow you to know that someone is watching. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. That concludes our public comment section for this evening. Is there anyone else on the screen that I did not call that wishes to address this council body? Going once? Going twice? And a third time. Thank you so much all for being here with us this evening. And we are scheduled for a regular council meeting at 7 p.m. So we'll see you on the screen. Thank you and have a good evening. Thank you, everyone.
Good evening, everyone.